print and printmaking feature in the South African artistic landscape?
Prints and printmaking has been a fundamental part of South African art. You can trace it back to works produced in the 1880s, 1890s, and then running through places like Drift, which are fundamental for the introduction of art to a domestic audience who had never previously had access to art. Using techniques like woodcut and lino cut, it became a very democratic medium, and it's still a foundational part of South African art.
So Luke, what's the value and benefit to your collector and your investor?
I think the value is twofold. If you look at an investor, print is a great way to get an artwork by a top-grade artist and a really beautiful original work without necessarily having to invest, say, in an oil painting or a large drawing, while still being able to incorporate some of the great South African artists into a collection. For the younger collectors, it's a great way to actually start collecting, to be able to begin exploring the idea of investing in art, of collecting works by important South African artists, by building up a respectable collection, but in a way that is more accessible and straightforward, really.
Okay, and the fact that it's a numbered print, so there's more than one edition, does that detract from the value?
Not at all. There's a slight misunderstanding sometimes when it comes to edition work. People don't necessarily realize that as much work goes into each work from the edition as to create original artwork. So for instance, with a dry point where an artist is having to use a needle to draw into a copper plate, they're making every line, they're drawing every mark. From there the plate gets inked, goes through the press, and the paper gets printed, it's signed, it's numbered. So each work is an original artwork. It is not unique, it is editioned.
So Luke, in our forthcoming auction, what techniques and what special works can our viewers expect?
I think as a first step, we've tried to represent every kind of printmaking technique. So for anyone who's wanting to begin exploring the idea of prints and printmaking, this is a great way for them to gain an introduction to a range of techniques, from woodcuts and lino cuts through monotypes, etchings, dry points, aquatints, there's screen prints, there's lithographs. So there's a range of techniques by a range of artists that I think people can begin to learn a lot just from looking at the works and contrasting them. In terms of the highlights, there's works from Diane Victor's Birth of a Nation series, which are very beautiful works, very sensitive dry points. There's William Kentridge's works from the Nose series. There's some wonderful screen prints from Walter Battis and Norman Catherine, but I think probably the highlight is a lithograph by Marc Chagall called Daphne and Chloe.
Okay, can you explain the Daphne and Chloe a bit more?
With Chagall, he did a lot of work revolving around ballet and opera. This work was taken from a series where he was illustrating an opera called Daphne and Chloe, and he produced a lithograph where the artist would work on flat stone with water-resistant ink, which allowed him to create a very painterly mark, a very sensitive image that's still very naive in a way, but it has a lot of beauty and a lot of sensitivity. And to have an original Chagall work is very exciting.
Absolutely. So please visit us at our Johannesburg and Cape Town offices to receive your complimentary catalogue, which features the special section on print and printmaking in South Africa.